Hey everybody, welcome back. Day number 5 in our 15-day personal finance overhaul program. Let's get into it. Today I want you to evaluate your auto insurance policy and make some adjustments. Remember, this is an area where people dramatically overpay for something they're never going to get their money back on. Okay? So, so that's why this is part of today's program. So let's get into it, right? You don't want to overinsure a vehicle that you're never going to get your money back on. And that's what happens. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you have or had a car payment for the vehicle that you're driving now. If so, that car belongs to the bank. Okay, until you make the last payment and they send you what's called a lien release, that is the bank's car. They just let you drive it. Because it is the bank's property, they want it to be properly insured in case you do some harm to it or with it. Like if you run over somebody's, you know, flower garden or their mailbox, you got to pay for that, right? So the bank wants to be properly insured, and so they mandate that you carry all of these different types of insurance at certain particular rates. It makes perfect sense. The problem is that your vehicle is not worth today what it was the day that you bought it, and therefore it's probably not worth what you insured it for the day you got your insurance policy. So my advice to you is every time your insurance comes up for renewal, whether you're on a 6-month cycle or a 1-year cycle, I want you to readjust, take an honest assessment of what your vehicle is worth and readjust your coverage so that you're only paying for coverage that actually applies to you and the value of your vehicle. Okay? Go out to websites like, and I'm using them just as examples, like progressive.com. I've downloaded and used the app from uh, from Geico, and you can go to these websites and you can build your own policy. Right? I'm highly advising you to play with these numbers yourself before speaking to a person at the insurance company. You can call the insurance companies and shop around, but understand that every person who answers that phone, their job is to sell you as much insurance as they can. They are salespeople. Your job is to educate yourself and know what you should be covering and how much that coverage should be costing you. Okay? So play with those numbers, go on the websites, go on the apps, play with those numbers. You may find that you can get much better coverage for just a few more dollars, or you may find that you are paying a massive amount of coverage for things that you no longer need, and you're probably going to be overinsured. One of the areas where you can make an immediate savings, and dramatically so, is in your deductibles. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, if I file a claim, I don't want to come up with 500 or $1,000." So you're paying top dollar in your monthly premiums for a low deductible like 250 bucks. Well, that may make you feel good, but that is terrible, terrible advice. Now think about this. You're already committed to $250. If you raise your deductible to 500, you're only coming up with an additional 250 bucks. But that jump from $250 deductible to $500 deductible, maybe even $1,000 deductible, can drop your insurance cost by 30, 40%. Now, that is a guaranteed loss, right? If you were going to pay that in your premiums every month, every 6 months to your insurance company, that is a guaranteed loss on your part. Chances are you will hopefully never need to use your insurance. So you can't protect yourself against every possible what if scenario. You have to do an honest risk analysis and say, well, how often do I actually file a claim? And is it worth it for me to be paying top dollar every month? Just in case I ever need to use it, I won't have to come up with an extra 250 bucks, right? You starting to see where I'm going with this now? So what I would advise you to do is take the guaranteed minimum loss, which means raise your deductible, lower your premiums. And should you ever need to come up with that deductible, you'll either have the money in the bank because of this program for sure, and from the savings that you get from the monthly reduction in insurance premiums, or it's also a great use case to let a credit card be your source of emergency financial funding. Okay? So keep a credit card around. We're going to talk about credit reduction in the coming days. Keep an active credit card in your wallet for those emergency situations. Meanwhile, save yourself the money in the deductibles by raising them up. Okay? So let's understand depreciation. It's great to buy a new car. It feels good, smells good, has a great warranty. But the minute you drove it off the lot, to you, it's a new car. To the rest of the world, it's a used car. Okay? And when it became a used car, it dropped 15 to 20% in value by the time you even got it home. Okay? And it will continue to drop 15 to 18% every year. And these are average numbers I pulled off the web by doing my research. And it will drop even more depending on how you treat your vehicle. Do you put a lot of miles on it? Are you doing the maintenance? Are you keeping it washed and waxed? Is it visually appealing? Would someone want to buy your car if you put a for sale sign in the window today? Right? How many miles you put on it? Do you drive it like an idiot? Like when the traffic light changes, do you step on the gas like you're in a drag race? It puts a lot of strain on the vehicle, and you see that a lot in cars. Young kids drive that, and they drive that way, and next thing you know, smoke's rolling out the exhaust pipe because they're putting so much wear and tear on the engine, right? So how you treat your car has a lot to do with how fast it depreciates. So that's the theme. Your vehicle is dropping in value every single day. Adjust your insurance rates and coverage appropriately. Okay. Now, some things about buying a vehicle. I just want to put this up here. It's great informational. It's interesting conversation. Not necessarily a part of this program, but I just did a search on the worst depreciating cars in the United States, and Autoblock.com gave us these numbers from 2020. And look at the worst depreciating cars: BMW, Lincoln, Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, Maserati. These are vehicles that people are paying top dollar for. Maybe they think it's a status symbol. Maybe they're under the belief that the premium that you pay, you somehow get an exponentially greater quality vehicle. I will leave that up. That is personal decision. I'm not going to get into that. But from a financial standpoint, they are some of the worst depreciating vehicles on the road. And if you're paying top dollar and stretching your family finances just because it looks fancy to drive something that says BMW, know that you're killing yourself financially, right? So think about the fact that if you're buying name brands, big name brands, it doesn't necessarily protect you. It doesn't necessarily mean that the car that you're driving is a better investment than somebody who's driving, a Ford or a Toyota or a Honda, right? So just be wary. Just be wary of what you buy, and know that you should probably do your research before you buy anything. So speaking of buying, here's what I want you to do. Here's some financial maneuvers. First of all, never buy a new car, right? A vehicle that's 2 years old, that previous owner has taken it in the wallet. They have paid most of the depreciation, the steepest decline in appreciation on that vehicle. And if it still has low enough mileage that it maintains the factory warranty, you are buying a very solid vehicle, still under warranty. And if anything was going to be broken, it probably broke by now, was fixed at the dealer, and you can rest assured that you have a very solid car. I don't want you to ever if you insist on buying a new car, despite what I'm telling you here, never ever buy a new car from previous model years that the dealer still has sitting around on the lot. Okay? You buy this year's model car. Preferably you buy next year's model car as soon as it's available. This save you a year of market depreciation, right? Because as I'm making this video in 2021, right? And if a dealer still has a car from uh, 2020 sitting on their lot, they're going to convince you that it's brand new because it's never been owned, it's never been titled by anybody else, it's got 4 miles on it, it's a new car. Well, when you drive that thing off the lot, it is now 2 model years old, and your depreciation is a cascade of money falling out of your pocket. So unless the dealer is going to give you some ridiculous low price to take that inventory off their hands, never, ever buy a new car, especially if it's more than 1 model year old. Okay? So properly maintain your vehicles to keep them reliable and keep them resellable, right? Think about it. If you put a for sale sign in the window of your vehicle today, would someone actually want it? It doesn't cost much money at all to wash it, clean it, vacuum it, and maintain it and keep it looking nice. Okay, if you're a little handy, do your own oil changes twice a year. You will save a lot of money. Any work you do on your vehicle, any repairs, always keep a folder in your file system for your car. Okay, keep your car as long as you can. The best car payment is no car payment, right? So once you get that vehicle paid off, if you're used to giving the bank 180, 200, $250 a month, if you're already used to that money coming out of your pocket, put that money into some savings, into some investment, or redirect it to debt reduction. Okay, but don't think that you can just go out and, first of all, never go out and just buy another car, and secondly, don't take that money and just start to blow it. Right? Let's redirect those funds to where they do the most good. All right, so here's your to-do list. Properly align your auto coverage. Get a copy of your declarations page, know your limits, know what those numbers means, shop around. Get all your numbers, get all your facts and figures straight before you start talking to people at the insurance companies, and then shop around to get the best possible price, knowing that you now are in control of the price, not the salesperson on the other end of the phone. And never, ever, ever, throughout the course of this exercise, whether you do it today or you do it 6 months from now, never put yourself in a position of being underinsured just to save a few bucks. Always maintain the right amount of coverage, but do so at the proper cost. That was today's message. Buy the right amount of coverage at the proper cost. Okay, go execute now. There'll be no change without action.